You know, I really like my room, but it needs some changes. Seeing the previous cuts, you might think that this room is good as it is, and you are absolutely right, it's great, but it could be better. Let me show you which part of it I would like to upgrade. The first is this wall. It's covered with sound absorbing panels and it fits nicely with the theme of the room, but over the years it discolored kinda badly and it makes the room more dark, so I would like to replace it with something more natural. The next is my table. It's simple, but it lacks storage space, which is really annoying during college semesters, and also when I sit at it too long my back hurts, so I got to figure out something for it too. And the last thing is my bed. It's super comfy, I really love it, but I want to make it a little bit bigger, you know, just in case. And with that I will gain some storage space between the wall and the bed, which will be really handy because some of my stuff don't really have a storing place in my room, so this should solve this problem. Alright, let's plan. On this board I divided my project into 3 parts. Let's start with the wall. Since it will set the new mood for my room, I will cover it with artificial plants to create a natural looking and calming effect. Luckily, IKEA have a perfect solution for this job. It's called the Feika. And that's about enough of planning, so let's start with the... Hi, you must have already noticed that the wall is naked and it's covered with square thingies. So let me explain what is happening here. The square thingies are made from metal and I glued them on the wall many years before. Then I glued some magnets on the sound absorbing panels and just like that I click them to place. And what I'm doing here, or what I've done here, is basically the same thing just with artificial plant ties. And the reason why I painted the parts between the ties green is just to hide the gaps between the artificial plant ties. That's it. Okay, the wall is already done and it definitely got the natural and calming vibe that I was looking for, and I really like how the shelves turned out with the LED strips, so let's hop on to the next stage. Now that the wall is finished, we can focus on the table. The keywords here is affordable, smart functions and storage. So I think the next thing to do is to find a suitable table. And I looked for it at autumn, at winter, at spring, and when I was really about to give up, I found it at summer. Ah, yes, just what I was looking for. And if you don't count the labor, it was very affordable. The next thing in line is smart functions, but first I need to do some measuring. As you can see, I changed the tabletop to a trapeze shade one because it fits better with my needs. Some why I really hate clamps at the edges of my table, so I decided to drill the mounting holes into the tabletop. That way I can achieve a really clean and integrated look. Then I drilled out the hole for the monitor cables and carved out the place for the USB hub. Sadly, my camera stopped recording before I started the carving, so I don't have any footage of that. Anyways, the assembling was easy and the overall look is very pleasing. But I forgot about something very important. The cabling. To be honest, I thought that it's not going to be that hard. So I started with measuring and making a drawing about which cable goes where. Then I attached this cable managing thing to the wall, and my idea here is that the cables will slide between the brushes of this thing when I move up and down the table. Pretty smart, huh? At the start I was full of energy, ready to grind, I was so excited to finally do it that even my hair growed out a little. But holy f***, it was a nightmare to do. I felt so lost and claustrophobic during that process. When I looked back to the recordings, there were parts where I was just standing and staring at the cables for long minutes and just doubting myself. But then I remembered what the Chinese Navy man told to an American aircraft pilot.
This is the Chinese Navy, this is the Chinese Navy, this is the Chinese Terror Sky. Please go away quickly in order to run judgment.
I am a United States military aircraft conducting lawful military activities outside national airspace. I am operating with due regard as required under international law.
So, after that, I got my shit together, did it little by little, and finished it. And the results? They speak for themselves. It took me around 2 full days to organize this mess, and I'm really happy that it came out super clean. Also, I changed my speaker to a better sounding one. The difference is definitely noticeable. I ain't gonna lie, this project feels much more long drawn than I was expecting it to be. But that's okay. The wall and the table is already done and I'm ready to plan my next move. It looks like that I don't really want to edit the planning panel here, so let's do it freestyle. And basically everything that I'm going to need to finish this project is already here. So I guess the next thing to do is to cut the bed slats to the right length. Sorry for the lag. So I already cut down the bed slats to the right size. And now I'm going to screw them to place with the help of these metal brackets. And to achieve the perfect height, I made this weird sample that you can see here. To fix the bed slats at the other side, I decided to use a special glue, so that way I didn't have to drill out everything. At the end of the bed, I added some screws to keep the covering panel in place. It turned out to be an almost perfect fit, and as you can see, it's still removable. One of the final steps was to cut the mattress to size, so I made a template for that job too. The cutting part was really satisfying. Then, me and my girlfriend sewed on the cover, and after that, all I had to do is just to get the mattress to its place and clean the mess that I have made during this process. Hi, you must have already noticed that my ass is quite good, yeah.